welcome back to Little Miss Drop Stitch. Little tutorial for us today, and we're going to be doing this. It's called a mitered square, so it's a bit like a garter stitch square, except I really like doing them because they're going to come out the same every time. We don't need to count how many rows we're doing or anything like that. And how it's made is you cast on double the amount of stitches, so you're knitting two sides at a time, and then we decrease until gradually you have no stitches left. It's got that beautiful thickness and elasticity of a garter stitch. What else you might want to do as well, I've just changed colour every 2 rows here, and great way of using up your scrap yarns as well. So that's the front, and this is the back, which you could totally use as the right side of your work. Let's get cracking. The only extra things you need today, apart from your knitting needles, is a little, a little stitch marker. First thing is always first at Little Miss Drop Stitch, so what we want to do is cast on our stitches. So for my square, I've cast on 40, and I'm using both worsted and Aran yarns. I'm cleaning up all my yarns of that weight, and I cast on 40 stitches, so that essentially means 20 for one side and 20 for the other. To give you an idea, this is 11.5 centimetres square. And that's using 4.5mm needles and Aran yarn. Of course, you can make them giant, you can make them tiny, whatever you like. You need to be casting on an even number of stitches though. So let's join each other when we've cast on our amount of stitches, and remember to keep it an even number of stitches. I use the thumb method to cast on, which I can link down below actually with plenty of video tutorials on different techniques, and I like to leave a little bit more just for sewing in after. If you don't and you weave in your ends, it's absolutely not a crime, you just attach a thread, a yarn later on to sew up. But there we go, it's one less step we don't have to do. Okay, I've got all my stitches, 40 for me, and all I want you to do now is knit half of them. Fantastic, knitted half my stitches, so in my case that's 20. And what I want you to do now is put your stitch marker in. Doesn't mean anything at the moment on this row, but put your stitch marker there and then knit your remaining half of the stitches. Throughout this we will be doing just the knit stitch, so no purling. Great stuff. Now at the end of our row, if you did want to do the 2 colour changes, then the side of the work that you're on now is the right side. So that's where I'd change new one and just carry it up the side. What I'd like you to do now is knit to 2 stitches before the stitch marker. So for me, I'll be knitting up to there when I've got 2 stitches remaining before that stitch marker. Then all I want you to do now with these 2 stitches is knit 2 together. And if you're not sure how to do the knit 2 together decrease, then I will link a little video below of our tutorial. It's nice and quick. Okay, so we've decreased 1 stitch because we've knitted 2 together. Then put your stitch marker onto the right hand needle. Then we want to decrease so it's nice and even and each side decreases evenly. We want to decrease on this side. So we're going to do the slip, slip, knit, decrease. And again, we've got a handy tutorial, so that can get linked below if you're not sure how to do it. The reason there's 2 different decreases is because they both face different ways. So how nice and even and beautiful does that look? So slip, slip, 2 stitches, then go through the back to knit them together. But don't forget that tutorial link below if you've never done it before. And then just knit to the end. So what we've done on this row is we've knitted 2 stitches before the marker, knit 2 together, slip the marker, then slip, slip, knit, decrease, and knit to the end. So on this row we have decreased 2 stitches in total. I'll just get to the end of my row. Time for a new row, and this is going to be repeated for the rest of the pattern. So on the wrong side row you're just going to knit, and then the right side row you are going to knit 2 stitches before the marker, knit those 2 together, slip the marker, slip, slip, knit, decrease with those 2 stitches, and then knit to the end. So that's all we're going to do. It's just 2-row pattern, and then carry on, and we'll meet back when we have 4 stitches left, because there's something I like to do at the end just to make it a bit neater, which I'll share with you. Bravo, 4 stitches left. Isn't it satisfying when it just gets quicker and quicker, the decreasing towards the end? So I've done a decrease row, which has brought me to 4 stitches. So as normal, I am just gonna knit the next row, but I'm just going to take my marker off. Okay, now we're back to a decrease row, and just like normal, you're just going to knit 2, but this is also the first 2 stitches, and then the last 2 we'll do our slip slip knit. Okay, and then instead of doing our usual rule of a knit row and then a decrease row, it actually creates a bit of an ear to this last part, and you have to sew it down and in anyway. So on what would be normally knit row, we're just going to knit these 2 together, and that'll create a nice squared off finish. Then if you want to have this as your sewing up tail, feel free to leave a bit longer. I'm going to weave this in later. And there we have it. Here we go, hot off the needles, a mitered square garter stitch. I did run out of the teal towards the end, but don't forget you can use up your scraps. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Please do consider giving us a like, thumbs up and all that good stuff, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you and take care.